So do you guys remember when President Bush won the presidential election and everybody was mad because they felt like he cheated, and Al Gore was like, we want a recount, specifically in the state of Florida, and to the point where it got legally contested, and then they blocked the recount, so they never really officially got the recount, and there was like a lot of tension and division with the Bush administration and the intelligence agencies and just with people in general because they felt like this was fair and it was rigged. And then on top of that, there was like a lot of warnings we were getting at the time about terrorist attacks and how people were planning to attack us and we weren't listening. And then everybody was distracted by Bush, and Bush was doing all this stuff, and everybody was just like mad. And then like months later, 9/11 happened. And then remember last year, Trump won the presidential election. Everybody was like, this doesn't sound right. How could he have won? They must have cheated. And everybody was like, we demand a recount, but they didn't do a recount. And then he got into office, and then everything was just really chaotic, and it was a lot of division in the country, and everybody was like fighting with each other, and they're still fighting with each other to the point where the Trump administration began to turn on each other, and it was like a lot of drama. And all the while that was happening, we were receiving multiple warnings about terrorist attacks and attacks that were coming not only from prophetic voices, but also people that were actually like on the news in other countries that were trying to warn us. And we saw a lot of weird things happening, but we just didn't pay attention to it because we didn't think it was that serious. And the Trump administration also wasn't paying attention to it because they didn't think it was that serious, or they just didn't want us to believe that it was just not that serious. And then Elon began to kind of like turn on Trump and say, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have even won the presidency, kind of alluding to the fact that they kind of cheated, or that he kind of like influenced the outcome of the presidential election without actually saying that he rigged it. And then Trump was kind of just like, you just mad because you can't have access no more. You been knew I was going to cut you off. Meanwhile, there's a woman in the airport that's been saying attacks are coming, and everybody looks at that woman and says that she's crazy, and our defense systems are compromised because we're so divided as a country and nobody knows who to trust. And then there was this girl on TikTok that was like wearing green and white and gold hoops who was like, we've seen this movie before, and more than likely there's an attack coming that's similar to 9/11 because of things that are happening now that were happening back in 2000 when George Bush became president.